Well, I've got to start this episode off with an apology. I forgot the intro music in my last video. No drum roll. It kind of killed the mood, really. No, I need to be held to a higher standard than that. I can't be forgetting intro music. Let me know if I forget something in the comments. Let me know if you like what you hear in the comments. Anything. Any pointers you have. If I forget the intro music. If anything is on your mind, let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to read it. But also, speaking of needing to be held to a higher standard, I always say welcome back to the Derek Smith Spiel. It's like leaving the new listeners out of an inside joke. So from now on, it's welcome to the Derek Smith Spiel. Of course, comment anything you want. And if you're a new listener, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, follow and hit the bell for notifications when new podcasts come out weekly, every week on Wednesday, generally at 10 a.m. But getting into this episode, this is a random rant. This is on pet peeves in a classroom. And we'll start right off, take you through like it's a normal day in college. This will be much more college oriented. You walk into class, a giant lecture hall. There's at least 80 people in this class. You're one of the first people there. You show up 10 minutes early, and you notice that in every single row, there's someone sitting on the outside chair. Every single row. You walk in, you take a left, there's stairs, and there's rows, like bleacher seats, going all the way up to the top. You walk in, like I said, you're 5 minutes early, but there's always those crazy people who show up to the class 20 minutes early, and they don't sit on the inside. They sit right on the outside, and you've got to climb around them with a backpack on, with a jacket. It's awkward. It's stupid. If you get to class early, sit in the middle. I know it's more difficult to just sneak out at the end, but it's like common courtesy. It's like driving. There's a traffic jam, or if you're at an all-way stop, you let the person who got there first go, and then you go in. To me, it's just the same thing, except you're sitting down, so kind of the opposite. You go in, and you move towards the center. Don't make people climb around you. Don't do it. It's terrible. It's awkward. You're always brushing up against someone you don't even know as you're trying to scoot by. Another thing that comes up is, like, as a guy, what am I supposed to? Am I supposed to scoot with my belly button facing them? Am I supposed to expose my genitals to the back of their head, or am I supposed to turn around and whip them in the back of the head with my backpack? Like, it's a lose-lose no matter what way I go. Either you're getting brushed by my dick or you're getting knocked out by my backpack. Like, you got to choose the latter there. It's awkward for you. It's awkward for me. Sit in the middle and get rid of it all. But let's move past that. You walk in, you just squeeze by someone who got into class 20 minutes early and sat on the outside. And then your professor's up there, and they're always talking about something. And every professor says there's no dumb questions. And to some professors, there really are no dumb questions. But to 90% of professors, there are dumb questions. And you'll ask a question, and then they'll be like, we just went over this. Or, have you not been paying attention all year? I remember this wasn't in college. This was in wrestling. This one coach in particular, whenever he showed a move, he always said, at the end of every time he showed a move, he said, are there any questions? And most of the time there wasn't. It was either self-explanatory or everyone got it. Whatever, there was no questions. And he said, he would look around the room. He'd be like, seriously? There's no questions? So when I get up and I tell all you guys to drill, no one is going to have a question. You're all going to know exactly what to do. And again, no one would have a question. And he'd be like, okay. And most of the times we'd break off and there would be someone to have a question. And he'd say, I guarantee someone was wondering the same thing. You got to ask this. early so everyone can hear it and everyone can be on the same page. Like, it was a really good idea. Ask the questions in a group, that way everyone's learning. You don't have to tell multiple people the same thing. It sounds completely sound. Here's the problem. One day he showed a move. At the end, he was like, "All right, are there any questions?" And this one kid, shouldn't say kid, he's my age. This one guy, he just asked, "So when you're doing that, you're moving your back leg?" It was something super simple, but he just wanted to understand it. It was a small, subtle thing that could make a big difference. He asked the question. When the coach said, "Ask a question," he has this no questions are dumb mentality. He asked the question, and then the coach just ripped into him. He's like, "Yeah, like I said 3 times before, what are you, a junior? You're a junior, you're a state qualifier, and you're asking that question? Come on, what are you doing?" Like, shredded him in front of the whole wrestling room. So it's like, okay, are there dumb questions or are there not? Because you're making me feel like there's dumb questions, and nobody's going to ask a question if that's how they're responded to. So if you're a teacher, if you're a professor, if you're a coach, and you say there are no dumb questions, you better not shred anybody. Because, and another thing, there are dumb questions. There are just stupid questions. Forget about questions where they didn't pay attention and they missed something. There's just dumb questions to ask. Like when you're giving a presentation and there's always a teacher who's like, "I'll give bonus points to someone who asks more than 3 questions today." It always happens. You're giving a presentation and there's that one girl or guy. There's the one teacher's pet in the back of the class, and they don't have any questions, but they really want the bonus points. Someone would call them a tryhard. So they're in the back of the class. How did presenting this make you feel? That's a stupid question. That has nothing to do with the presentation. Or, how did you get interested in this topic? Again, that's a boring question. That's not everyone's a journalist major. It's journalism 101. No boring questions. If you're interviewing a football player, everyone's going to be wondering, when did they start playing football? When did they fall in love with the game? They've been asked that question thousands of times just by their family members. There are dumb questions. Let's just get that out of the way. There are dumb questions. But if you say there are no dumb questions, you better hold your ground and not shred anyone for asking a dumb question. But it always happens. It's a pet peeve of mine. Then later in the class, after you rub your balls against someone who sat on the outside row that you had to squeeze past, and a teacher rips into someone who asked a dumb question, they'll hand out a quiz, and maybe even the professors will give bonus points for doodling, which is just straight stupid. Why? Why would you get bonus points for doodling? That it, it's like that teacher must just really want to brag about how high their students' grades are. That makes no sense. Doodling has, unless it is art, some type of comic, unless there's something where doodling is actually used, maybe a screenwriting type thing, why would you give someone bonus points for drawing a picture? That a lot of time it's, oh wow, fly on there. A lot of times it's just something stupid too. God. But that's not even my pet peeve. It is. But the one that I was really thinking about is the people who make doodling their personality. Like, oh, I can't take notes without doodling. You look on their paper and it's like they took no notes. They're just, drawing circles and tornadoes on their paper, making trees, birds, their own type of shoe. Like, oh, someday I'm gonna sell this shoe. No, you aren't. No, you aren't. The, don't make doodling your personality. Don't, especially in college. Don't pay that much money to sit in class and doodle. No. Moving on. You got a test someone doodled on it. You were just taking notes and someone was doodling. And then the professor gives a group work assignment. Group work assignments, they can be fine. It really depends on your group. The person that's always, there's multiple types of annoying people in the group, and they're on opposite spectrums. In one hand, there's the person who literally does nothing and just rides everyone else to a good grade. That's annoying in itself, but that's touched on enough. Let's throw that to the side. What I'm talking about is the group member who treats a group project like it's their job. And this is kind of backwards to what I've been saying, because you were like, Derek, you just said you're paying for college. Don't doodle. Doesn't that mean you should take notes like it's your job? Yes. However, when you're in a group project and there's people who are in that class simply because they are required to take it, and there's one person who is talking about putting the project on LinkedIn, talking about it, like making, if schedules are needed for the project, that's fine, but talking about making actual schedules, having, you catch where I'm going. There's one person who just micromanages the group, and it feels restricting. You can see me tensing up right now when that person is in my group and they're blasting me in the face with everything that needs to be done and explaining how it's going to be done at just the highest level. And I'm back here I'm in this class because it's required in my major. Yeah, I want a good grade, but man, I'm not making, like, no, this is not a project that's going to be seen by the world. It's a project that's going to be seen by the professor, and the professor has so many of these projects to grade that as long as we write enough, we'll be fine. We will be just fine as long as we put enough stuff down. That's a factor that's overlooked. Professors and teachers, even in high school, they have to grade so much. You all know those kids. Those kids, there's an essay. They write a 10-page essay and they get an automatic 100. It's like, and you sit back wondering, did the teacher even read that, or did they say, you know what, they made 10 pages. They had to fill all the criteria in these 10 pages. You know how it goes. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. Yap for 10 pages and get that good grade. Work the system. Play the game. Make it big time. Oh, and the last thing I have written down is you'll be in a class talking about economy, literally the economical state of the world. And then this professor will get up there and he'll talk about the different type of taste buds, how there's super tasters who can taste everything and are super picky eaters, and there's people who, it's not that they don't taste anything, but they're not picky. Their tongue doesn't pick up on as many pungent flavors, and they aren't picky eaters. They'll eat anything. How people who like broccoli generally don't like cauliflower because you can figure out that certain foods are kind of linked together, and you can assume that a person wouldn't like this because they don't like something else. They'll go on a generational rant about taste buds for 10 to 15 minutes, and then they'll say, but I digress. You'll be up there and a teacher's talking to a teacher who teaches journalism. He'll be sitting up there talking about how he worked in every state except Alaska, or talking about how a student gave him one of the worst interviews ever. Shred this student for 8 minutes straight, and they'll say, but I digress. And your homework is you'll have this professor who talks about this guy he knew that was the loudest talker he's ever met. And he'll do impressions of him saying, oh, every time I saw this guy, it wasn't just, oh, hey, Steve. It was, hey, Steve! He'll do impressions of him for 15 minutes. Then I'll say, but I digress. It's like, no. No, you already told us everything. You aren't digressing. You just made your point. No. It's you are is this why I came to class today? I got up early so I could hear this, not even the content I was told I was going to hear. Sometimes it's entertaining. I learned a lot about taste buds. I learned a lot about loud talkers, and I learned how to not give an interview, which was important for the class. But it's like, where did that come from? But I digress. Those are my pet peeves in the classroom. You see my shirt, Dylan Smith Outdoors. If you like outdoor content or tired of the indoor podcast, go to YouTube and search at Dylan Smith Outdoors 8459. He's got great outdoors content. And one last time, new listeners and old listeners, if you aren't following yet, follow and hit the notification button for the Derek Smith Spiel on Spotify or on YouTube at Derek Smith Stock 13. Like and subscribe. If you don't like the long podcast, you can listen to the shorts, the isolated best of the best, cream of the crop of what I've talked about. Short clips, no longer than 3 minutes. You can listen to those on Instagram at Derek Smith Stock 13 or on TikTok at SmithStock5. That was a random rant on pet peeves in the classroom. Thanks for listening.